Good night, Tobago. Good night, Trinidad and Tobago, and good night, world. Welcome to hashtag Tobago Next, the Island Reset. It's a program hosted by the IDA team that is all about real talk with real people about the real Tobago. And our conversation is a free-flowing conversation where we engage on numerous topics as we look at exploring Tobago's past, honestly assessing our present, and looking at solutions that would lead to a better tomorrow for us in Tobago. Tonight, I am your host, Kate Trotman, and I'm joined by my fellow IDA members. On my left, I have the political leader of the Innovative Democratic Alliance, Dr. Denise Sawyer-Fat Angus. On my immediate right, I have my colleague, Mr. Cecil Noel. And on my far right, I have another colleague, Ms. Stacey Herbert. Welcome to tonight's program. Tonight we are talking about Tobago before the reset and how we reach some. How we get here. I mean, it has been 127 years since the union of Trinidad and Tobago. 63 years of independence for Trinidad and Tobago from the British. And 45 years with the Tobago House of Assembly Act. And through that journey, what has it been like for Tobago? Where have we passed? Where are we now? And where we intend to go? So we invite you to chat with us as we talk, as the old people would say, as we conversate. Join us in the conversation. And guys, let's start off. 127 years. How we get here? In fact, what has been the past been 127 years as the union? Why the union? Why put Trinidad and Tobago together?
You know, as you said that, I was recently talking with a friend, and he was talking about that very same thing. You know, the union between Trinidad and Tobago. And he was saying that originally they were thinking about having Tobago as a colony rather than a ward, you know. But because of what was happening at the time, they decided that they were going to do the annexation as a ward, right? But he thinks that if that was not the case, we might have been in a better position, and we may not have been having the conflicts and the issues that we've been having between Trinidad and Tobago. That was his opinion at that time. I've been pondering about it. You know, I'm not so sure that I agree, you know, but that's one of the conversations that I've had within the past few days.
Okay. Cecil, what do you think? 127 years. Folks have indicated that before this annexation, before they marry us with Trinidad,
Mary suggests that we were on equal footing.
Exactly.
but that's what a lot of people like to think, that we weren't equal footing.
No, but even, okay, remember back then marriage may not have been equal footing, eh? So,
that modern day thinking.
that we equal.
So they take us and they say, you go here.
Right.
You couldn't manage on your own?
Good. You know, so therefore with that now, you know, because if I'm to say, or if you have to correct me if I'm wrong, because before we will put to Trinidad or become a ward of Trinidad or a sister or whatever they say, I think they would have explored the options to have us up the Caribbean with Grenada. So now, within that time, I'm I'm looking back and I'm saying, but if that had happened, because I could remember we had a conversation at work almost about 2 months ago, and I said the best we had joined with Grenada, would have been experiencing EC dollars, a better economy, you know, and a better forex, you know, situation.
But, go ahead.
127 years from then, and we look back to now, problems, forex problems, what else problem? Loss of identity.
That's
Right?
a huge part.
That's a huge part of it
Okay.
indeed.
Yes.
And because of loss of identity, we are like, I would say we're just like going on in a circle. With bottom line, we're searching for a true identity as individuals.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. When you have a separate identity, you've always had a separate identity, and then suddenly you're lumped together with another island, and you're expected to be a nationalist. You know, that is where the difficulty comes in, and that's why I feel like if sometimes we have conversations like what happened the last time when Dr. Rowley had said what he had said, and Tobago got up in arms. You know, Tobagonians got up in arms and start pulling together and say, we are proud Tobago Blue Crab. You know?
Or the famous 60,000.
Strong, 60,000 strong. You understand? Because we've always seen ourselves as even though we're part of the Union of Trinidad and Tobago, Tobagonians seem to have a feeling that we have a separate identity to Trinidad. And how do you erase that and to try to fit two islands together and say that we should be loyal to country rather than you know,
And two islands with different history.
different
and
histories,
different peoples
exactly,
who lived in
different
this
experiences.
place. So even all now,
Yes.
the meshing
It
has its great experience.
exactly.
No, and I like how we say that still all now, because it shows us that within 127 years, we still have not worked that out. So then what do you see, right? If I'm to put this in the aspect of a real marriage or relationship, right? One would say to the husband or to the wife, if not working out, would I separate me? You understand?
Oh boy.
You know?
That's a hot topic. Yeah, that's a hot one.
But if you're a Christian, then they would say you need marriage counseling.
Yes.
Right. No, and if that's not working, right, for the continuation of good relation, or for the health or psychological health, well-being of an individual, right? Would I separate ways, part ways, you know? So therefore,
And amicably, hopefully.
that's right. But if
God has called us to
we're here now, 127 years, and we're still trying to work that out, we have 127 years still doing the same thing. So therefore, it's not working.
Yeah,
Right.
there needs to be an intervention then.
Definitely, we haven't. If we have to take all the statistics from then till now, I'm guaranteeing you we're going to see that Tobago has been in a decline, right? I want to let the viewing public know that in our next program, we'll work with some factual statistics to show you all, so that we're not here talking off the head. Yes, we're having a conversation, but our conversation needs to come with facts, because I know how our viewers are. They need hard facts, and definitely we're going to come with hard facts.
But I think, our viewers, I am sure if they go back in their history to know, apart from the hard facts, sometimes we tend to think that because we've had a few extra buildings, that Tobago is now developed, that we have a few extra people on the island, that we're heading towards development. But that can't be it, because oftentimes people are feeling the pain in their pockets. People are seeing development, but they're not feeling development.
Right.
And I think that is the distinction that we have to continue to be made. I've often said, you have new buildings, but we can't eat buildings.
So true.
People are starving with buildings. So there has to be some balance coming forward, else we're not going anywhere. You can't just look at buildings only as our development, or road networks as our development. It has to translate into the pockets of the people, that they are able to comfortably go to the grocery, they are comfortably to be gain shelter, they are comfortable to send their children to school. It's not a struggle every term, you know. Those are the other indicators of development we are looking at, and also the quality of our health care. So it's a whole slew of things when we think about development. And when you're looking at 127 years to now, if we take out the buildings and all the other things that we are classic, we consider to be classic development, we would see that we have really not moved far.
Right. And you know what makes that even clearer? The fact that for many years, we still only 60,000 people. How long has the population size been at 60,000?
Well, I mean, that tells its own story. Yeah?
Yeah.
That you have many more persons, many more Tobagonians living outside of Tobago than in Tobago. And if we are, and you're quite correct, it's why. If we are continuing to have such a significant brain drain because our young people cannot see a future for themselves on the island, that tells its own story about our lack of development, our lack of our leaders being able to provide a vision and hope for young people such that they are willing to stay and work towards building a better Tobago.
Right, and that too. Yes, young people willing to stay, but that also has to come with a mindset shift from the parents, because remember, a lot of parents actually plan to send their children outside of here because they feel like if there will not any opportunities for the children here. So it's not children that making that decision, and a lot of times it's parents.
But there's nothing wrong with planning to send your children outside to study.
Yes, nothing is wrong with that. But then if we're talking from the context that we have
them back.
Right, exactly, we have a brain drain, then that means we have to plan to bring them back, as you said, right? But when they go out there, there's no incentive for them to come back. So I think that's where the big issue is, the incentive for them to come back. Come back with development, with something planned for them to do. Because if I go out there to study mechanical engineering or whatever, when I must be able to know that if I come back here, I have something to do.
And come back not just for working in THA.
Not to work in THA, but for the larger development of the island. Yeah? So there needs to be inside of there, when we're sending our children out, look at what is needed inside of the Tobago space, and then that could determine what you decide to send your children out to do, or what children have an opportunity, if they want to come back, what they should focus on.
Right.
Yeah?
Now, how I look at this, right? 127 years from the union, right? And after that we have 65 years or 63 years of independence. If we are to look between the start of our union to our independence as a Tobago, as a people, right? What have we done, or what was done to show our growth, right? And under our one state which is we call independence and into republic, right? What have
What have we achieved?
What have we achieved? What changed? You know, and God had mentioned that even if we take away our infrastructure, all those nice roads and bridges, well, I wouldn't say, I'm saying in caution, all the very nice roads and very nice bridges. You know?
You call them election roads.
Right.
Let's be clear. Election roads.
Real talk.
I've been frank, because I looking at a bridge between Lambo and like old licensing office, and that land is already dropping. Boom! As I drive, I'll be like, why is this happening? I'm looking at the road, highway from right. What do you call this highway here?
Highway. From where?
Wilson Road traffic light going on, and you're realizing that they resurfaced the road, and now it's you're having a wave. So I'm saying, how we fix road, right? Besides our how we fix road and how we fix bridges, what have we accomplished as an island, as a people, to say yes, I am proud of this. I am proud that under the National Alliance for Reconstruction, this was done to boost us as a people. On the People's National Movement, this was done. I don't want to hear anything that they were mandated to have, like fixing the library and or multiple facilities and
all of that is buildings.
How are they used?
Right.
How do they impact the lives
You know,
of real people?
Right. I remember.
Let me just ask our viewers, please, share the live and invite others to join the conversation,
Yeah.
please. We ask you to share the live at this time so we can get others on board. And you feel free to comment also. We will pay attention to your comments.
Right. Yes. And I remember. Well, I'm a person. I consider myself all around. You know.
Man around.
Man around. So I was working PH taxi, right? And I know I had a passenger from Bonaccord. I picked up this gentleman from Bonaccord, and we had he came back from the States after 43 years. Talking about 2 or 3 years ago. After 43 years, and you know, the conversation was, Tobago haven't changed. You see, Tobago have not changed. See, the only thing you can see difference is buildings. See, but the mindset of the people, the work attitude, see, it's just the same. You see, and I keep wondering if it's gonna be the same way 43 years after. You know, and I tell you, when this man said that to me, I was basically I said, sir, I have the same thought, the same thinking, because when I look at it, if I minus or take away these things, I can see that we have not grown an inch.
But let me put something in the space too. There are those who indicate to us that before independence, I think it was in the days of county council, there was a different attitude that the Tobagonian lived and displayed. It was an attitude that they did for themselves. We did for ourselves.
Right.
We built roads in our communities. The infrastructure that was developed in the communities were actually developed by the people in the communities. There was a different approach. But that somehow when independence stepped in, a little way off of independence, there was this mindset of dependency that somehow wormed its way into how we were governed for political reasons. Because you know you have parties now and parties want to stay in power, and there's a way things are done that ensures that the party may stay in power, but the people become less the drivers of their destinies and the doers of their own sense of living and getting ahead and progress. So that changed, and with that, a different mindset and attitude developed for generations that now, if Tobago is to truly develop, and as we are saying now, if we have to have the Tobago next, if we have to have that island reset, it is requiring that we find ourselves again and find that sense of identity.
Yes, I do agree with that. Because you see, I remember, and I look back to Flora, right? When all of that happened, when Hurricane Flora happened. I mean, there were things that were happening before, but Hurricane Flora to me added a layer that has brought a lot of trauma to the Tobagonian psyche, right? And that trauma still lives in us.
Okay.
That trauma still lives in us. We have not found a way to deal with that, to get that kind of deliverance that we need, that kind of ease. And because we have not dealt with it, our parents, when they send us to get the secondary school education, and your future is in your book bag, and all those nice things that have been said, and then you come now and you ain't see nothing. You see that it was just a waste, because your parents tell you when you get education, it gives you an opportunity for a good government job. I sure all of them hear that before.
Yeah.
Because that's the premise behind the education, to get a good government job. And that happened after Flora, because a good government job represents security. You understand? Because when you come from a place where you had instability, even in relationships, personal relationships and stuff, instability causes us to think in a particular way.
Right.
Is why women that stay in domestic violence situations
And why,
like this.
why we don't take risks.
We don't
You
take
know,
risks.
yes, a lot of
Exactly,
people have said
because
Tobagonians not.
yeah, we no longer, we take risks in some ways, but not in the ways that matter, that could help us to move forward. You understand? So there's something that we need to do in order to deal with the trauma that we have experienced since then, and it has been passing down from generation to generation to generation. Unless we build inside of our programs that mentorship, then it will be difficult for us to go anywhere, because we're living inside of that space of trauma. When you're inside, it's difficult to see, you know, and for us it's difficult to see, and that's a big part of what is happening, I believe, in Tobago.
I want to go back to where you talk about Flora, because that also created a different type of dynamics in the family for us.
Right.
Where after Flora, you had families that became very separated, because one member of the family, mostly the man, had to take off and go to Trinidad to find work to sustain the family in Tobago, and would send monies back to the mother who was taking care of the children. But at some point, the mother realized that perhaps money not coming, and the man ain't coming back.
Right.
Because he formed a new family in Trinidad. Right? So we had those dynamics to deal with. And I'm wondering if it is not part of the genesis of all the single parent households that we have now. Something that has kind of come about culturally because of a trauma we dealt with back in 1963 that has sort of become part of
part of the DNA
of the Tobagonian to be able to survive
Yes.
in a single family home from then until now. And in some cases, I think it has held back, you know, and you know, created such challenges for the parents that you can't fully now follow the children, and they are now falling off.
Right. Yes.
One of the other things we deal with is the fact that the single family no longer has that extended family to support.
Oh my
You know,
gosh,
because
yes.
of how we are building houses and offering people homes that are totally separate and torn
Exactly.
from the, you know, fabric that we are accustomed to. I mean, I grew up in a yard with my grandparents, with my uncle, my aunt, my cousins. I mean, everybody in this yard space. You walk to everybody's house right there. You know, and anyone could scold you and bring up. I went to my great grandmother nursery school right there in the yard. You know, so that type of family setting it's not happening as much anymore.
Yes, and
That kind of community force.
Yes, and for me, that's exactly right, because I have a son. He's 3 years old, right? And it's only now that I'm becoming so aware of how much this unit is needed. This village that we had before, how much it's needed.
So we
You
now
know?
seen where they talk it takes a village to raise a child,
yes.
where that really came
Yes.
from, and back then it really did take a village to raise
Yes,
a child.
exactly.
And with that came a lot of
Right.
support, a lot of prevention of the crimes that we are experiencing now. So we are seeing how 127 years going through the journey to independence, 62, facing Florence, 63 as Tobago, that has completely devastated our economy.
Yes.
And we turned from being an agricultural type generating income to now being a government supported.
Yes.
Don't forget that after Flora, we really didn't get the help from central government
That's
And
another thing.
to
That's another
rebuild
thing.
Tobago,
Yes.
and instead they felt sending some monies just to give us a little support and keep us controlled,
Right.
rather than empowering us
It was an
to
opportunity.
rebuild
Yes.
and develop again.
ourselves.
Yes.
You know,
Yes,
and
I
and
feel-
still maintain that, because I grew up hearing my my grandparents and everyone saying, imagine to be able to send them how much bags of this to Trinidad,
Yeah.
bags of that. And just recently, I think last week, I was hearing people talking about how the ship
Used to go around the island.
Yes.
And
Picking up stuff.
I remember my mother giving me that story. I was like, this was real plenty, boy.
Yeah.
I see. And I'm asking myself, if that was to be good then, right? Right now we are more, I want to say, advanced, and yet with more advanced technologies and education,
We still
and,
way behind.
and we're still way behind. But we would have lost that key role of supplying to know.
which
to
brought
know-
back independence to Tobago.
Right, so now we at the place where we are dependent,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, we go backwards
Yes.
when we should have maintained and grew in that aspect. So therefore, I realized that the powers that be did us a real number, and as we as Tobagonians, and I say we as Tobagonians because it's not just, it's all of us. We realize, we accept it. You know, we accept that position of being dependent, right?
That's
And
fair.
no longer wants to be, I would say, we no longer want to be that leading figure, that leading,
To be the drivers of our
Yeah.
faith.
You understand?
To be the drivers
I
of our
mean,
faith, so to
after you have been traumatized for a while, you tend to want a moment of rest, but we're resting too long, and that's the fact. We've been resting, taking that rest too long, and we had to get up because we will start to grow roots and vegetate and die. Now we've been so afraid, and that's a big part of our psyche, the fear. You know, sometimes you're afraid and you run, and there are other times you're afraid and you freeze, and we have frozen. We
So
have
it's
frozen.
time to-
It's time to unfreeze, but we need to find a way to
Reset.
that
Reset.
reset.
Yes, we have
That
to reset.
reset.
So,
Yes.
so we see how we get to where we are today,
Yes.
where we actually, after 127 years in the Union, after 63 years of independence, and 45 years with the THA Act, we see the need to
And
reset.
producing a president,
A
Oh,
prime,
gosh.
prime
Prime
minister.
Minister,
Yes.
Chief Justice,
Chief Justice,
you know, a central bank governor.
So we have
President of
capacity,
the Senate.
Okay, so we're certainly not uneducated,
and we have capacity.
Yes.
So then,
but there's something that is nailing us in the foot.
And it is part of also, a disappointment that we have been able to put people at that level and numerous people into the Senate and the House of Representatives,
And it has
and
not
yet it has not
Translated
translated
into-
into Tobago itself making more significant progress.
And
It
significant
seems
input
as
into
if
the
they're
country.
sent there and they continue to control Tobago rather than truly empower and free us
Definitely.
to truly develop.
Right. You know,
Something
involved.
just, something just
I don't-
occurred to me, not cutting across Mr. Bill. We have educated all these people to go to do all these things, to be intellectuals. We have taught our children to not be like us. So then when they don't want to be entrepreneurs, how are they going to empower people to be entrepreneurs and to stand on their own when they themselves have actually become set in a system that we have pushed them into? They do not know anything about entrepreneurship. It takes a particular mindset for
Right.
entrepreneurs to thrive.
And that is what is needed now.
And that is what is needed. But
Right.
we have created intellectuals.
Okay,
And there's
nice.
a space for that.
There's a space for intellectualism, but there is a space right now
No.
for entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurship.
And
Right.
that's what we
Ah.
need. That mindset shift. And that's why for me, like, I used to teach community development, right? And well, I ended up getting out of it because I found that it was difficult for me to do, because it was, for me, it felt like if the focus was on numbers rather than on the students, because when
Capacity
you have
of the students.
right, because when you have a class with 50, my last class was 52 students. 52 students. And so even though these classes were 1 day a week, I found myself trying to make sure people could have stayed abreast. So I was teaching whole week because people would call me and ask individually, Miss, I didn't get this, I didn't get that. But inside of community development, there needs to be built in mentorship, because there is a gap between learning a skill and actually getting into business.
Right.
It took me a long time to actually begin my wine business. It takes a whole lot of mental
You're right.
finang.
Right.
You know?
All right,
That is- and that is
Get
why-
you to get
no,
you.
because honestly, we're looking at 127 years, right? And then our 63 years of independence and our 45 years as a House of Assembly, right? Based on what Stacey just said, right? I'm now sitting, I'm thinking, I said, so what was the purpose of establishing the Tobago House of Assembly, right? Was it to ensure that these same, what Stacey just highlighted, we fill that gap and ensure that 45 years after, we would have been able to stand on our own and say, all right, and if that was the purpose, why have we not achieved that? So therefore, the institution of the House of Assembly to Tobago so far would have failed us.
Yes, because let me tell you, before the House of Assembly, those same programs that Stacey spoke about. I mean, my mother would have gone to a community person, Miss Elder,
Right.
to learn
Yes.
cake baking and
Right.
icing.
Right.
And she was right there in the community, and they would teach them. There was no
Right.
House of Assembly to do that.
Right, exactly.
You know, and likewise in the country, the
Mhm.
other persons would have been teaching these activities
Yes.
in their communities.
Yes.
So they had more empowerment then, yes, of people in the community taking this up and teaching amongst themselves. Some of them would have charged us a little money to
Right.
do
Yes.
things, but certainly it was the community creating
That-
this and being responsible for it.
So you know what has been said. I mean, the discussion has been going so well that we seem to have forgotten that the time has gone for us.
Oh, yeah.
But if we have to summarize it, what we are saying in the next iteration of what Tobago is to be, this island reset is all about empowerment.
Yes.
And it's all about community
Yes.
empowerment,
Oh, yes.
not just at the THA level. It's
But-
not the top down,
Yes.
it's supposed to be the bottom up.
Yes.
We, the people,
Right.
need to be empowered for the next the next, I don't want to say iteration, the next,
Tobago next, the island.
the Tobago next,
yeah,
Yeah.
island reset,
Island, yeah.
as our title says.
See.
Yes, yes.
Right?
So viewers, we have spent a little time in your presence. You've seen what the discussion was all about. I know you have a lot of comments to make. So, close your comments.
Raymond Roberts says he's here and he's watching.
Thank you,
Raymond.
Raymond.
Thank you,
Hi,
Raymond.
thanks
It's
a
good
lot.
Good to have you
And the
on.
thing is, we would be on next week. But what I want to leave with us, we are about to face another THA election. And I dare say, we cannot go into it with the same mindset, the same approaches, the same policies, the same plans
Yep.
of the
That have
past.
continued to fail us.
Thank you.
Right.
There are some things that need to be added inside of there, for us to really.
As for those of us who does talk Bible,
Yes.
we can't put new wine in
Old skins.
old wine skin.
Yeah, they will break.
It would break and we would lose both the bottle and the wine.
We saw the evidence of that in the last 4 years.
Yes,
Oh, Lord.
we have, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
So now is the time to put new wine in new bottles.
Yeah.
I challenge you. New ideas, innovative ideas, the Innovative Democratic Alliance as the choice. So as we sign off tonight, I want to thank you for joining us. And I want to invite you to look forward to our next program next Sunday at 5. Hashtag Tobago Next, the Island Reset. Thank you very much for being with us. Have a good night.
Have a good night, folks.